What are the best tools for spoon carving? That's probably the most asked question I'm receiving, at least, and I'm seeing it online a lot. And then the answer is very often, the best tools for spoon carving are the ones you have. But the underlying question is a completely different one, isn't it? Are better tools making me a better spoon carver? That's the actual question. No, they don't. They don't make you a better spoon carver. So, in today's episode, I'm gonna answer the question, why better tools don't make you a better spoon carver. Maybe it's even the opposite. Today I'm axing out a spoon from pear wood. Recently I was driving down the road very close to home and I saw this pile of obvious fruit woods because they grow very gnarly, and the farmer out there has this plantation of very, very old, slow growing pear trees. So I drove up to the farmhouse and we had a very long, nice talk, and he allowed me to take a couple of pieces of pear with me. So I have the big pleasure right now to carve pear. I'm gonna make a little spoon for him, of course. But why did I choose this very hardware store looking axe? It's in fact actually made in Austria by Müller, which is a Austrian axe manufacturer. And they actually make quite decent axes. It's a Rhineland pattern. It's of course, lending itself to carving a little bit better than maybe some type of boy's hatchet or boy's axe or something like that. But I chose this one today, went over it with an old Japanese file. Took me about 5 minutes to get a very narrow Scandi grind on it, and it was holding an edge quite well. Now, if this is the tools you have, tools you find in a yard sale, in a hardware store, or the like, they might not cost you a lot. Maybe you don't have the money. Maybe you are a mother or a family father. Your money goes to more important things, maybe, or necessary things for your family. Maybe you're a student. Maybe whatever the reason is, there shouldn't be any discrimination about not being able to buy the most specialized tools. But why did I say before that even, cheaper tools, well, not as specialized tools, whatever the case may be, whatever you would call not the best tool? And let's be honest, the difference between the best tools and average tools, whatever it may be, is just in the time spent and the materials used on these specific tools to very, very much specialize them, right? So why did I argue that better tools don't make you a better spoon carver? Well, think about it that way, and I'm always trying to use analogies when it comes to these things. Imagine a Formula 1 driver, a guy sitting in a Formula 1 car driving 350 kilometers an hour. Now, was this guy a good driver before, when he was driving his dad's Corolla? Nothing wrong with the Corolla, it does the job, it's a car. It's a tool. It's a means to an end. And so is this hatchet right there. So is a cheaper spoon carving knife. So is a whittling pocket knife that you can use. So is even, a paring knife that you sharpened up and used for greenwood. It's a means to an end, and so is the Corolla. So was that guy or that woman? Doesn't matter. Was he or she a good driver before? Yes, of course. Was the car helping a lot with the driving as much as a Formula 1 car with all of the electronics and all of the controls in it? No, it didn't. It absolutely didn't. So I'd argue that learning the driving in that case, let's just call it the driving, learning it with an old Corolla without all the gadgets is actually making you a better driver, because it's all you. You have to have the vision as a spoon carver or craftsman or craft folk, you have to have the vision anyways, the feeling for proportions, for shapes. You have to have a vision of functional lines, the execution, what you want to have in the end. You have to sit down and make mistakes and get frustrated and keep going and learn from your mistakes. The tools are just a means to an end. So now you just carved your first dozen, 2 dozen, 100 spoons with an old hatchet you got at a yard sale. Maybe it was your granddad's. You sharpened it up with a cheap axe file. You took a whittling knife. And maybe you took a gouge because you didn't find a hook knife. And you became very good at using these tools. You used them for making some very functional and good looking spoons. You understood bevels, sharpening. You understood the wood, the grain directions, how to cure it and then go over it again. And then the wait time is over and you pick up a high-end tool. You sit in your Formula 1 car. Now you might ask, why do I even need a Formula 1 car now? I'm already an accomplished spoon carver with the tools I have. Well, a Corolla doesn't go 350 kilometers an hour, right? So becoming a better spoon carver is a matter of learning. Let's see it that way. Each of us has their potential, their personal potential. And that's to reach that potential is, of course, as a craft person, your goal. But also, your goal is to have joy, to enjoy the process. So for the learning process, I think it's more enjoyable to take any tool that you have, maybe even on purpose a tool that is not as high-end, not as specialized, because it's going to teach you sharpening. It's going to teach you modifying your tools. Pick up a file, sandpaper, not having as much anxiety to, experiment. To put a file to an axe. You don't want to learn sharpening with a high-end tool, with something that you waited 18 months for. It's going to cause a lot of, stress and anxiety. And at the end of the day, that's why I'd argue that some of these tools make you a better spoon carver, because they're gonna allow you to just get into it, to think yourself, to think outside the box even, to take a tool maybe further than the tool's own potential. And that's a very enjoyable path. So I think these tools aid you in learning and aid you in becoming a better spoon carver. And when the day comes and you pick up your new Tuka cam or your new Sanderson hook or Carlson axe, well, then a whole new journey starts and a whole new potential. But what makes you better is sit down and carve. Just a food for thought, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/Woodsman's Finest. And I do enjoy commodities like roof over my head, water, food, the other stuff. So please find all my other information down below. Cheers.